Okay, we are at section 5, key value pairing. Now just remember that people might call the same thing as different names. People might call it key value, they might call it dictionary, they might call it a JSON object in JavaScript and MongoDB world, but the idea is key value pair. They also call it the key value KW, KV. So they call it different names, but the idea is that you give a mapping. This is the case where I want to go to shopping and I don't know what things are called in English. So my wife would give me the mapping of Hindi and English so that when I buy something, I know that that is what it means. Otherwise, I'll pronounce something else or I'll show somebody some English name. He'll give me some food and I'm not able to recognize that. So mapping works where you have key and you have value. So let's look at this example, a mapping between states and cities. We are going to copy this and we are going to play with this. It's a long code, so we'll see how to delve with that. So I'm going to section 5, pasting it, and let's analyze this code. So it says that, and I'm going to get rid of these blocks. We are saying that states is a dictionary. A dictionary always starts with a curly bracket, and Oregon is the key, OR is the value, Florida is the key, FL is the value. So I'm going to run this and I'm going to see what is inside states. So it's like the same, curly brackets, key value. If I want to access anything, then I have to write the key. The key is California, so I write the key. If this would have been a list, I would have to write 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 because a list does not have a key. It's only numbers coming one by one. So that's not going to happen. Uh, so that is CA. Let's go ahead and see what's going to happen in the next part of the code. So in the next part of the code, you have another dictionary. And this time the dictionary is key and value, key and value. So CA is the key and San Francisco is the value. MI is the key and Detroit is the value. FL is the key and Jacksonville is the value. So that's key value. And if you want to add a new element, uh, then we have to add just the key and the value, and we can do it in a fly. So let's try to add something random in cities as well. So to do that, first we'll see what is inside cities. And now to add something, I'm going to say that city WDC is Washington DC. Now let me see the cities. So now I added one more key. So I can add any key on the fly. Now we already know this thing from Python that when we multiply something with a number, it's going to display it 10 times. So we are printing a string and we are getting a key. We are getting the value in cities for the key New York. So that's what we are doing. And we are doing the same for Michigan. We can also get the key, the value using a key and then pass it on across as a key for another one. So if I want to see what's happening here, I would break this down and I'll run only the first part. And then I'm going to pass it across as a key for cities because cities has this MI. So I'm going to find out the state, the name of the state, and then I'm going to pass it across to find the cities in MI. So it's like taking step 1 and step 2. We did the similar one in functions where we would do something and pass the output as a function inside some other one. So we have been doing this all along, doing something and passing it across. Now, the other thing that I want you to think about is how would we loop in a key value pair. So I would call it key value because we can have any name here. For key value in this, key is key and value. So I would write this as key and that as value. So you see I'm writing key and value. So when we iterate through a dictionary, it goes to as a pair, key value pair, so that you can use any of the keys. In fact, I can just iterate through the number of keys. Nobody stops me from doing that. So although I'm writing key values here, I can just iterate through the values. Oh, but this has to be value. So nobody stops me from iterating through just one of them. So I'm allowed to do that. I'm just allowed to iterate through keys or just iterate through values. That's part one. Now there is one more thing here, which is get. So if I go to states and I write state.getTexas, and let's see what is states. So state is this, and if I want to get Texas, it's going to say me this is going to be a blank. So the difference between this and accessing it through key is that the other one is going to give you an error. So right now this is blank, but if I would have tried this, it would have given me an error and my program would have stopped working. So I don't want my program to stop working in midway. So I use if else or try again or things like that to circumvent or to avoid any place of getting an error. So get is a nice thing because it then gives you a blank one. So if I want to find out what is this, so I would go here and write type if I want to peep inside what's happening at the back end, and it says none type. So if it says none, so I know that there is something called none. So I'm going to see, is this none? The answer is yes, but this is not 0. Is this 0? The answer is no. So this get and this none is a very interesting thing. None is none. It's not 0. It's not string blank. None means nothing. So we will not know about none unless we get something which is nothing. It's different from error. It's different from 0. It's different from string blank. So when we try to put something that's not inside using get, we can get a none. But if we try to pull it with square brackets, we get an error and our code would stop working in a very ugly fashion in between a code. Okay, we have some other concepts in the dictionary, which we are not going to do in this video, but I'm going to just introduce you. So the next code is this. It's like reversing stuff, and this is like play. So let's see what's happening here. So let's break it down in a small manner, very slowly. So first I create a list out of the values that are inside this dictionary, and I can run it here safely. Then I find out the index number of New York. So the index number for New York is 3, and then I create a list of keys, and then I go to that index number. So here I want to find out from the value what is the key. So I want to do just the reverse. From the value I want to find out what is the key, and I'm dealing with the cities one. So we know how to do that from key to value, just a square bracket or dot, but what about doing just the reverse? So you have to break this code down for me slowly and learn that. So value from key is simple. Just write a square bracket or use get. But if you want to do the opposite, which is find key for a value, then you have to write this code, which I have broken down. So that's it for this lecture. Thank you for listening.